Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to the class of leadership strategies. Today we are going to answer this question that who is a leader and what is leadership? When asked this question, most of us would name some military commander or some political figure whose faces we are used to see on print media or electronic media. Other students might recall some historical figures such as uh, Alexander the Great, Abraham Lincoln, or maybe Napoleon. Yet, some students might say that a person with extraordinary analytical skills is a leader. So, having so many different answers, what is exactly leadership and who is a leader? So, this is the objective of today's lesson, that at the end of this lesson, we would be able to define a leader and we would be able to distinguish leadership. So, before we start defining leadership, let's talk about some misconceptions that are associated with this terminology leadership. There are few myths which are associated with this terminology leadership. So, some people talk about that leadership is about one's position in some company or organization. So, any people sitting on the top level in the hierarchy of a company is a leader. However, leadership has nothing to do with the senior most position or the highest pay grade. Hopefully, we may find leaders there, but it is not guaranteed. Leadership has nothing to do about the highest pay scale or the senior most position. Yet another misconception is that leadership comes with infinite power and authority. The people having in absolute authority and power, they might be dictators but not leaders. On the contrary, leadership is about empathy, it is about love, it is about sharing, and it is about cooperation. It is not about exercising your powers and authority. Another myth is that leaders bear fancy titles like the CEO of some organization, the chairman of some company, the board of governors, or the directors of some company, or maybe the field marshal, the commander in chief. However, you don't need a fancy title to lead people. Leaders can be found everywhere. Leaders can be there in your class without any title. Leaders can be there in your home, or maybe they are in your neighborhood and they don't have any fancy titles. So this is another misconception about the leadership, that leaders always have some titles. Another misunderstanding is that leaders have international fame. They are acclaimed throughout the world. and their names, they appear regularly on the cover pages of some magazines, or their faces splashes on the screen of electronic media. However, this is not the truth. In reality, there are many leaders who are unsung, and they are still making a difference in the lives of others. And they are working behind the scenes. You don't need to be recognized internationally or nationally to become a leader. You can work behind the scene. Yet another misconception about leadership is that leaders have charismatic personality, or they have some extraordinary human traits, qualities that make them distinguishable from the rest of the people. They might have some extraordinary analytical skills. Those people are the leaders. Are the people who are super genius. However, there is no truth about this. To be a leader, you don't need to have some charismatic personality, a magnetic personality. You don't need to be have uh, extraordinary analytical skills. You don't need to be a super genius type of a person to be a leader. You don't need amazing problem solving skills to become a leader. Leadership doesn't come with these attributes. It has nothing to do with this. Yet another misconception about leadership is that leadership is all about the management. Again, leadership is not management. What managers do? Managers, they manage the things, they manage the resources, like they do budgeting, they do financing, and they manage the workflows or the processes, etc. Whereas leaders, what they do, they lead people. So leadership is about leading the people, where management is about managing the things. So leadership is not management. So having said this, what is leadership? In the view of Peter Drucker, which who was uh, who was an Austrian scholar and a writer of many books on the leadership, he defines that the only definition of a leader is someone who has followers. So, what we get from this definition, that a person may be a leader if he has followers. That person must have followers to become a leader. Another view of from Warren Bennis, who was the advisor to many of the US presidents, he has said that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. So, leader is a person who could translate vision into reality, who works for that vision, who wants to achieve that purpose which he has defined, the vision. So, leader must have some vision, and he should be able to translate, he should be able to work for that vision along with his followers. And another definition of the leadership from Bill Gates is, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. So leadership about empowering others. It is not about exercising your power and authority. It is about sharing. And one of the contemporary author, John Maxwell, he says that leadership is about influence, is nothing more, nothing less. So it is your influence. Influence on what? Influence on your followers. That you, as well as your followers, you work for that vision which you have set. One of the US presidents, John Quincy Adams, he has said that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So again, it's about inspiration. That to be a leader, you need to inspire others. That you all work together for a common purpose. So Bernard Montgomery, one of the greatest British generals, he has said that leadership is the capacity and will to rally men and women to a common purpose, and the character which inspires confidence. So these are the different views from some great people, from some great leaders, that how they understand, how they define leadership. So formally, how we can define leadership? What is leadership? Leadership, the first thing that we get is that leadership is about vision, that every leader, he must have some vision, he must have some objective, a goal for which he works. So it is necessary that to be a leader you must have some vision. Leadership comes with the vision. If you don't have a vision, you are not a leader. Another trait of the leadership is that leadership is social phenomena. What is the meaning of social phenomena? That is, leaders must have followers. It is a group activity. It is some social activity that you must have some people along with you, and you all work for that common vision. And to make people work for that vision, you need to have influence on them. You must exercise your influence, not your authority or power. You need to exercise your influence. And what is this influence exactly? How you can exercise your influence? This is your character. That you inspire others through your character, not through your power or authority. You don't need to have authority or power to exercise your influence. This is your character. This is your love. This is your empathy. This is your love for that cause, for that vision. And this is your character that will inspire others that yes, we should come along with this leader. We should work for that vision. And finally, the last trait of leadership is that leaders, they have some hierarchy within that group. This hierarchy may be some formal hierarchy or it may be some informal hierarchy. Formal hierarchy means that you might have some title, you might have some position, named position within that group. Like you might be the CEO, you might be the director, or some other title with your name, or it may be in formal hierarchy within that social group, that you don't have any title. You are simply whoever you are, and still you are working for that vision along with your followers. So hierarchy, you might have some formal hierarchy, or it may be informal. So having discussed this, what is leadership? We can define formally that leadership is an influence relationship among leaders and followers who intend real changes and outcomes that reflect their shared purpose. So we have combined all the elements which were proposed by those great leaders, as we have seen in the earlier slides, that leadership is influence relationship, and this partnership is between leaders and followers. This is not some power relationship, boss or subordinate relationship. It is the influence relationship, influence partnership, the partnership which is based upon love and empathy and that common cause for which they will work together. And leaders and followers, they want to achieve their objective. They want to translate their vision into the reality. So this is all about leadership. To be a leader, you don't need to be in the limelight. In any setting, you can be a leader. Either you are a student, you are a simple, a common man, or you are in your family, you can play the role of leader. So here you see some great figures from the history, and even some of them are the some of these are the great leaders, and some of these are not. You have to identify that who are these people, and either they are leaders or not. I would leave it as an exercise for you. Uh, come up with your answers, and we will discuss it in the next class. So thank you. It's all about the today's lesson.